Going to show you the Acorn Cable stitch, which is what you see here. This is the stitch that was used in the autumn acorn cowl, and you can purchase the pattern for this cowl over on Craftsy. This is a cable stitch that's worked on a multiple of 10 stitches plus 2. You need at least 22 stitches to work the pattern, and you start out with 13 rows, and then you will be repeating from row 2 to 13 for the pattern repeat. So I have 22 stitches here on my needle, and row 1 is the setup row, and you'll only be working row 1 once. And you'll also need a cable needle or a double pointed needle to work this stitch pattern. I prefer to use a double pointed needle, but you can use whatever works for you. So for row 1 of the pattern, you're going to start out with knit 1, purl 3, knit 4, and then begin the repeat, which is purl 6, knit 4, now I'm going to knit my 4, and you're going to end your row with purl 3, knit 1. So that is your setup row for the stitch pattern. For row 2, you're going to knit 4, and then purl 4, and then your pattern repeat is knit 6, purl 4, and you're going to end your pattern repeat with knit 4. And row 3 of the pattern is where you're going to do your first cable crossover stitches. You're going to start row 3 with knit 1, purl 1, and now you're going to do a back cross. So how you do that is you're going to slip the next 2 stitches from your left needle onto a cable needle or a double pointed needle, and you're going to hold that in the back of your work. And then you're going to knit 2 stitches from the left needle, and now you need to purl the 2 stitches that are on your cable or double pointed needle, and you can knit them directly from your double pointed needle, or you can just slip them back onto your left needle to work them. It doesn't matter which way you do it, whatever way you find the most comfortable. So purling those 2 stitches, And now what you're going to do, take this strand that is between the stitches that you just knit and the stitches on your left needle, and you're going to knit one, purl one under this strand. So right needle goes under the strand, knit one, and then bring your yarn forward, get your needle back under that strand, and purl. And now what you're going to do is you're going to do a front cross. So again, with your cable or DPN, slip the next 2 stitches from your left needle, and this time you're going to let them hang in the front of your work, and you're going to purl 2 stitches from your left needle. Oops, gotta get my yarn in front there. Purl 2 from the left needle, and then you need to knit the 2 stitches that you've been holding in the front of your work. Whoops. Okay, so just knit those. Okay, so that was your front cross. And now what you're going to do is purl 2, and you're going to repeat that again. So we're going to do a back cross, 2 stitches go onto the cable needle, hold them in back of the work, knit 2 from your left needle, and then you need to purl 2 from your double pointed needle. Just going to slide those back onto the left needle and purl. And then again, you're going to be working in that strand between your stitches. Go right in there, knit 1, bring your yarn forward, get your needle back in there and purl. And now you're going to work another front cross, 2 stitches to your double pointed needle and hold them in front. Purl 2 from your left needle. And then knit the 2 that you've been holding in front. And you're going to end row 3 by purling 1 and knitting 1. So you can already see the cables starting to form here. So row 4, you're going to start by knitting the first 2 stitches. And then you're going to purl 2, knit 2 to the end. Okay, so row 5 of the pattern. Going to start by knitting 1 and purling 1, and then you're going to knit 2, purl 2, When you get to the last 2 stitches of row 5, you're going to purl 1, knit 1. And that's what you have so far. Now row 6 of the pattern is the same as row 4, so you're going to knit 2 and then purl 2, knit 2 to the end. Okay, row 7 of the pattern. Remember back in row 3 of the pattern we had those extra stitches here where we knit 1, purl 1 into those running strands. So now we need to decrease to get rid of those extra stitches. That happens in row 7. Row 7 starts out by knitting 2, and then you're going to slip, slip, knit. And usually instructions tell you to slip the 2 stitches knitwise. I like to slip the first one knitwise and then slip the second one purlwise. You can do it either way, it doesn't matter. And then you're going to knit both of those together through the back loop. So that's slip, slip, knit. And then you're going to purl 6, then you're going to knit 2 together. So you just take the next 2 stitches and knit them as if they were one. And now you're going to knit 2 and repeat. Slip, slip, knit. And then purl 6. Knit 2 together and knit the last 2 stitches. Row 8, you're going to knit 1, purl 2, knit 6, and then your pattern repeat. Purl 4, knit 6 until you get to the last 2 stitches. So purl 4, knit 6, and finish the row by purling 2 and knitting the last stitch. Okay, so row 9, again we're going to do those front cross and back crosses. So just knit the first stitch, and then you're going to knit into that strand that is between the stitch you just knit and the stitch on your left needle. You're just going to knit into it, just like that. And now we're ready to do our front cross. So to do that, we're just going to slip the next 2 stitches onto your cable needle or double pointed needle and hold them in front of your work. You're going to purl the next 2 stitches on your left needle. And now you need to knit the 2 stitches that have been hanging in the front of your work. And again, I'm just going to slip mine back onto my left needle. You can knit them directly from your double pointed or cable needle. So knitting those 2 stitches. And then you're going to purl 2 stitches. And now you're going to work a back cross. Next 2 stitches, go into your double pointed needle, and you want to hold them in the back of your work this time. And you're going to knit 2 from your left needle. And now you need to purl those 2 from your double pointed needle. Oh, if I can get them back on there. Okay, so purling those 2. And now, once again, we need to work into this running strand here. And this time you're going to knit 1, purl 1. So just go right under that strand, knit, bring the yarn forward, get your needle back under that strand and purl. And now you're going to repeat. So we need to do a front cross, holding those 2 stitches in front. Purl 2 from the left needle, and knitting 2 from our DPN, purl the next 2 stitches, and back across. Next 2 stitches are held in back of the work, and you're going to knit 2 from your left needle, and purl the 2 that were hanging out in the back of your work there. So you have 1 stitch left on your left needle here, but before you work that, you need to knit into that strand. Just knit, and then knit your last stitch. Okay, and that's what you have so far, if you can see that there. Now, row 10 of the pattern, you're going to start by knitting 1, purling 1, and then you're going to knit 2, purl 2 until you get to the last few stitches. So just knit 2, purl 2, knit, and when you get to the last few stitches, knit 2, purl 1, and knit 1. For row 11 of the pattern, you're going to start by knitting 2, then you're going to purl 2, knit 2 to the end. Purl 2, knit 2, purl 2. Row 12 is the same as row 10. So you start by knitting 1, purling 1, And then you're going to knit 2, purl 2 until you get to the last few stitches. And when you get to your last few stitches, you're going to knit 2, purl 1, and knit 1. Okay, so row 13, last row of the pattern, we need to decrease to take away those extra stitches that we put in up in row 9. So row 13, you're going to start by knitting the first stitch and then purl 3. Then you're going to knit 2 together, knit 2, slip, slip, knit, purl 6, and you're going to end the last repeat of your row by knitting 2 together, knitting 2, slip, slip, knit, purl 3, and knit the last stitch. So that is pattern, and you would just repeat from row 2 for the stitch pattern. This is what the back of the fabric looks like, and then this is the front. And the edges are pretty sloppy, as you can see, and one thing to remember with cable stitches is they tend to pull your fabric inwards from the sides. So if you were making something with this, you would want to make sure that you take that into consideration when you're casting on your stitches. And this definitely looks better if you were to block it. But that is the Acorn Cable stitch.